All right, so like I said, chapter 3 of The Purpose Driven Life by Pastor Rick Warren. It says in Ecclesiastes 4:4, I observed that the basic motive for success is the driving force of envy and jealousy. This chapter is called What Drives Your Life? So everyone's life is driven by something. Most dictionaries define the verb drive as to guide, to control, or to direct. Whether you are driving a car, a nail, or a golf ball, you are guiding, controlling, and directing it at that moment. What is the driving force in your life? Right now, you may be driven by a problem, a pressure, or a deadline. You may be driven by a painful memory, a haunting, fear, or an unconscious belief. There are hundreds of circumstances, values, and emotions that can drive your life. Here are 5 of the most common ones. Many people are driven by guilt. Does that sound familiar to anybody out there? They spend their entire lives running from regrets and hiding their shame. Guilt-driven people are manipulated by memories. They allow their past to control their future. They often unconsciously punish themselves by sabotaging their own success. We could talk about, that's a whole sermon. I know some of you guys have sabotaged relationships because you don't think that you're good enough. I know some of you guys have sabotaged job opportunities because you feel like you're unqualified. Many of you guys have sabotaged, the list goes on, things over and over because you just don't think that you're good enough. He says, when Cain sinned, his guilt disconnected him from God's presence. And God said, you will be a restless wanderer on the earth. That describes most people today, wandering through life without a purpose. We are products of our past, but we don't have to be prisoners of it. Let me say that again, okay? We are products of our past, but we don't have to be prisoners of it. God's purpose is not limited by your past. He turned a murderer named Moses into a leader and a coward named Gideon into a courageous hero. And he can do amazing things with the rest of your life too. God specializes in giving people a fresh start. The Bible says, what happiness for those whose guilt has been forgiven. What relief for those who have confessed their sins and God has cleared their record. Many people are driven by resentment and anger. I know I'm talking to some of you guys out there, that old revenge body. Who here has gotten in shape after a breakup, just taking it out on the weights? Don't raise your hands. Don't embarrass yourself. Oh, Ruben, don't do it. I know a lot of you guys, oh, she don't like me. Well, she gonna miss out on this. Benching 225 for 10. You start eating salad and chicken breast. Next thing you know, you're shreddy, taking gym selfies, just like flicking up. I know how it is. Been through a breakup. Some of y'all are smiling. Some of you guys are like, I have no idea what a girlfriend is. So we'll pray for you. Hey, many people are driven by resentment and anger. They hold on to hurts and never get over them. Instead of releasing their pain through forgiveness, they rehearse it over and over in their minds. Some resentment-driven people clam up and internalize their anger while others blow up and explode it onto others. Both responses are unhealthy and unhelpful. In the comment section in the chat, let me know, do you clam up or do you blow up? I'm curious. Do you clam up or do you blow up? Me personally, I'm a blow up guy. You keep poking the bear and I'm going to let you poke the bear. And then the next thing you know, I show my teeth, man. And then I know some of you guys just clam up. I love it. I love the honesty. I appreciate that. Some of you are like, it depends on the situation. I'll clam up, then blow up, then clam back up. You never know. It just depends on what it is. When you put a dagger next to blow up, DeAndre, that speaks loudly. He said, blow up, knife. Okay. Resentment always hurts you more than it does the person you resent. While your offender has probably forgotten the offense and gone on with life, you continue to stew in your pain, perpetuating the past. Listen, those who have hurt you in the past cannot continue to hurt you now unless you hold on to the pain through resentment. Your past is past. Nothing will change it. You are only hurting yourself with your bitterness. For your own sake, learn from it and let it go. The Bible says to worry yourself to death with resentment would be a foolish, senseless thing to do. Third thing, many people are driven by fear. Their fears may be a result of a traumatic experience, unrealistic expectations, growing up in a high control home, or even a genetic predisposition. Some of you guys are just born like that, right? We have that natural fear response to fight, to freeze, or to flee. Some of us are more wired to do something, automatically. So it says, regardless of the cause, fear-driven people often miss great opportunities because they're afraid to venture out. Instead, they play it safe, avoiding risks and trying to maintain the status quo. Fear is a self-imposed prison that will keep you from becoming what God intends for you to be. This whole book is filled with tweets, right? Fear is a self-imposed prison. Self-imposed. You got yourself in chains that will keep you from becoming what God intends you to be. You must move against it with the weapons of faith and love. The Bible says, well-formed love banishes fear. Since fear is crippling, a fearful life, fear of death, fear of judgment is one not yet fully formed in love. Woo! Many people are driven by materialism. Their desire to acquire becomes the whole goal of their lives. This drive to always want more is based on the misconceptions that having more will make you happy, more important, and more secure. But all three ideas are untrue. Who here has ever chased happiness in clothes, right? Or chased it in importance, right? Or status or popularity. For me, growing up, not having many things, I found my self-worth and thought that happiness was in having a closet full of Jordans at one time, or having a rack full of hats, or having all the nice starter jackets. Shout out, who remembers starter jackets, the puff jackets? I had a starter jacket when it was cool to have a cowboy one. That was back in like '94 when I think it was like Emmitt Smith and Michael Irvin, when the Cowboys were good. So I had a starter jacket. That wasn't a shot. But that's just facts. When they were good, I had a starter cowboy jacket. I had a Miami Hurricane starter jacket. You guys remember the Miami Hurricanes, like back in the, anyway, some of you are like, I don't know. Starter is now something you can find at Walmart, man. It's not popping anymore. Although Champion, I don't know, did you guys see Champion made a comeback? Champion was like, that was bottom tier back in the day, and now, maybe it's back on the way around anyway. It's a myth. It's a myth that if I get more, I will be more important. Self-worth and net worth are not the same. Your value is not determined by your valuables, and God says the most valuable things in life are not things. The most common myth about money is that having more will make me more secure. It won't. Wealth can be lost instantly through a variety of uncontrollable factors. Real security can only be found in that which can never be taken from you, your relationship with God. And lastly here, it says many people are driven by the need for approval. They allow the expectations of parents or spouses or children or teachers or friends to control their lives. Many adults are still trying to earn the approval of unpleasable parents. Others are driven by peer pressure, always worried by what others might think. Unfortunately, those who follow the crowd usually get lost in it. I don't know all the keys to success, but one key to failure is to try to please everyone. That's so nice, I gotta say it twice. One key to failure is to try to please everyone. So being controlled by the opinions of others is a guaranteed way to miss God's purpose for your life. There are other forces that can drive your life, but all lead to the same dead end: unused potential, unnecessary stress, and an unfulfilled life. So the benefits of purpose-driven living, there's 5 great benefits. We're going to talk about these benefits and then we're going to wrap it up. I know this is getting long. The benefits of purpose-driven living. Knowing your purpose gives meaning to your life. We were made to have meaning. This is why people try dubious methods like astrology or psychics to discover it. When life has meaning, you can bear almost anything. Without it, nothing is bearable. Sink into that for just a second. When your life has purpose, it doesn't matter the storm, it doesn't matter the circumstances, it doesn't matter what you're up against. Many will persevere, many will reach down and find that grit to move forward. But it's when your life has little meaning, when you find little meaning and you don't feel any significance, is when some of the smallest storms are able to knock you over. A young man in his 20s wrote, "I feel like a failure because I'm struggling to become something, and I don't even know what it is. All I know how to do is to get by. Someday, if I discover my purpose, I'll feel I'm beginning to live." Without God, life has no purpose. And without purpose, life has no meaning. Without meaning, life has no significance or hope. In the Bible, many different people express this hopelessness. Hope is as essential to your life as air and water. You need hope to cope. If you have felt hopeless, hold on. Wonderful changes are going to happen in your life as you begin to live it on purpose. Another one is knowing your purpose simplifies your life, makes it simpler. It defines what you do and what you don't do. Your purpose becomes a standard you use to elevate which activities are essential and which aren't. You simply ask yourself, does this activity help me fulfill one of God's purposes for my life? Without a clear purpose, you have no foundation on which you base decisions, allocate your time, and use your resources. It's impossible to do everything people want you to do. You have just enough time to do God's will. If you can't get it all done, it means you're trying to do more than God intended for you to do. Any of you guys ever struggle with burning the candle at both ends? Like biting off more than you can chew? Having a schedule that's so full at the end of the night, you're exhausted and you don't even know what you got done? That's what it's talking about. Purpose-driven living leads to a simpler lifestyle and a saner schedule. Knowing your purpose focuses your life. It concentrates your effort and energy on what's important. Without a clear purpose, you will keep changing directions, jobs, relationships, churches, or other externals, hoping each change will settle the confusion or fill the emptiness in your heart. How does that sound? Any of you guys ever run from, well, this job, the same issue continues to follow you from place to place. You keep leaving your job because the boss is always a jerk. You can't never find no satisfaction because wherever you're working, there's always an issue. Well, after a certain amount of time, you got to take a long look in the mirror because the only thing that hasn't changed is you. You're still present. You're the common denominator. Jeremy, ditto. We said that at the same time. You're the common denominator. Same with relationships. You keep running in and out of relationships, changing them like you're changing your drawers. But is it the women that you're choosing or is it you? Same with your churches. Every church you go to, you got a problem with the pastor. He doesn't do this. He doesn't do that. They don't do this. They should do more of that. Is it you or is it the churches that you're going to? And I'm not here to tell you that there's not bad jobs, there's not bad relationships, or there's not bad churches. I'm not here to say that they're all great. But at the end of the day, if there is this perpetual changing of directions in your life and it's constantly going left and right, and every time something happens, you feel like you got to change. Every time you get a flat tire, you got to trade your car in. Maybe the issue isn't those things. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's that you lack purpose. You think maybe this time it'll be different, but it doesn't solve the real problem, a lack of focus and purpose. The power of focusing can be seen in light. Diffused light has little power or impact, but you can concentrate its energy by focusing it. Like with a magnifying glass, the rays of the sun can be focused to set grass or paper on fire. When light is focused even more as a laser beam, it can cut through steel. There's nothing more potent than a focused life. One lived on purpose. The men and women who have made the greatest difference in history were the most focused. For instance, the Apostle Paul almost single-handedly spread Christianity throughout the Roman Empire. His secret was a focused life. If you want your life to have impact, focus it. Stop dabbling. Stop trying to do it all. Do less. Prune away even good activities and do only that which matters most. Never confuse activity with productivity. You can be busy without a purpose, but what's the point? Paul said, let's keep focused on that goal, those of us who want everything God has for us. A couple more points. Knowing your purpose motivates your life. Purpose always produces passion. Nothing energizes like a clear purpose. On the other hand, passion dissipates when you lack a purpose. Just getting out of bed becomes a major chore. It is usually meaningless work, not overwork that wears us down. Knowing your purpose prepares you for eternity. Many people spend their lives trying to create a lasting legacy on earth. They want to be remembered when they're gone. Yet what ultimately matters most will not be what others say about your life, but what God says. Living to create an earthly legacy is a short-sighted goal. A wiser use of time is to build an eternal legacy. You weren't put on earth to be remembered. You were put here to prepare for eternity. So some of the things that to ponder, living on purpose is the path to peace. And the question to consider is, what would my family and friends say is the driving force of my life? And what do I want it to be?